In this video, I want to tell the story of one of the most feared books in Chinese history. It's been banned by successive dynasties from the Tang Dynasty all the way up to the communist regime. Why is this book so dangerous for Chinese rulers? Well, that is because it is a book of prophecy created by two well-known astrologers who lived during the Sui and Tang dynasties. And out of 60 poems in the book, 58 are considered prophecies, and 55 of these are believed to have already come true. From things like predicting the Anlushan rebellion in the Tang dynasty, the start and finish of every dynasty after that, the invasion by foreign powers and the burning of the Summer Palace in 1860, the fall of the Qing dynasty and the founding of the Republic in 1911, the war with Japan, the dropping of the atomic bomb, the founding of the People's Republic of China and the retreat of nationalist forces to Taiwan, and several things that haven't happened yet or may be playing out right now. China's current leader, despite the government being officially atheist, has taken a deep interest in the prophecies of this book and other books to the point where it looks like paranoia, seemingly purging military officers because of similarities between them and characters in the book. In this video, we are going to explain all of it, from the start to the finish. This is the story of the Nostradamus of the East, China's Book of Prophecy, Tui Bei. So Tui Bei literally translates as pushing back pictures, and the reason it was called this relates to the two authors who wrote the book during the Tang Dynasty. These two authors were Li Chunfeng and Yuan Tiangang. They were asked by the second emperor of the Tang Dynasty, Tang Taizong, to predict the fate of the dynasty. Using the divining methods of the I Ching, they started making predictions and writing them down in poetic form. But they didn't stop at predicting the Tang Dynasty. They predicted the rise and fall of every subsequent dynasty and many more events in the modern era. Out of 60 sections in the book, the opening section and the closing section are normally not considered to be prophecies. They're more like describing the circumstances around how the book was created. In the last section of the book, there is a passage, 万万千千说不尽，不如推背去归休, which people think means that when Li Chunfeng gets a bit addicted to making these predictions, Yuan Tiangang says to him, you can't divulge this many secrets to human beings. I'll push you from behind, so you go back to your room and have a rest. Actually, literally the first part of the couplet just means there are so many tens of thousands of things you couldn't say all of them, but I guess some commentators have taken this as secrets that can't be divulged to humankind. So the book got its name from the last line about him pushing him from behind to go back to his room and have a rest. The predictions are made in cryptic, poetic form since I guess according to ancient Taoist wisdom, these things can't be divulged in plain language. But if you present them in a poem and force people to decipher them, and thus they wouldn't be understood until after the event happened, then that's okay. I guess you couldn't have people win money gambling on when a certain dynasty would fall using Tui Bei to predict.
Hardly recreational reading material, Marty.
Well, hey, Doc, and what's the harm in bringing back a little info on the future? You know, maybe we could place a couple bets.
So how does the book actually predict the future? Well, let's take a look at the third image, okay? So each section is called a xiang, which, well, xiang does mean elephant, but it also means image, and I think that's what they were saying here, okay? So 第三xiang means the third image. I'm just going to call it section. And each section has a hexagram, or gua, an image, or tu, a prediction, chen, and a poem, song. So in number 3, the hexagram is the hexagram for retreat. The picture is a woman holding a blade, which would imply something to do with the martial arts, which in Chinese is Wu, and a woman, okay? Is there any woman associated with the character Wu? Well, there is Wu Zetian, China's only female emperor who ruled her own dynasty right in the middle of the Tang dynasty, and she was surnamed Wu. Then the prophecy starts off, 日月当空, something like the sun and the moon at emptiness. What on earth does that mean? Well, there is a character where the sun and the moon, okay, 日 and yue are on top of the character for emptiness, 空, okay, which is underneath them on the bottom. That character is pronounced zhao, and it is a character that Wu Zetian invented as a name for herself. The next phrase, 照人下土, on the surface looks like it's saying illuminating the land below, but that's only if you put zhao and lin together as a two-character word. If you take zhao as an alternative character for Wu Zetian's name, zhao, since it has the exact same pronunciation, then it could mean Zhao overlooks the land below, as in she overlooks her empire, she rules over China. So this one is thought to be about Wu Zetian, China's only female emperor, who would not have been known about during the time of Tang Taizong when the book was written. Taizong died in 649 AD, and Wu Zetian would not start her dynasty until 690. Section 20, or 第20项, talks about the end of the Northern Song dynasty, saying 朝无光, which on the surface means something like the royal court is without light, but there was a prominent politician in the Song dynasty called Sima Guang. Sima is a double character surname, and Guang is his given name. He died in the year 1086. The poem goes on to say, 日月忙, days and months go by helplessly, 莫与经, do not with Jing. It doesn't make sense in English to say it like that, so let's say do not associate with Jing, and the reason I say that is because Jing in this context is thought to relate to the official Cai Jing. He was appointed by the Emperor Zhezong. We'll say more about Cai Jing in a moment. He's critical to this, but the next part, 中彷徨, in the end pacing around not knowing what to do. So after the death of Sima Guang and the appointment of the official Cai Jing, the Song dynasty started to fall apart, and that's exactly what the poem describes, and a lot of that decline was blamed on Cai Jing for tolerating corruption and giving poor advice to the emperor. The Northern Song dynasty would officially end in the year 1127. But now let's look at something a lot more modern. Number 39 is believed to be about Japan's invasion of China. Check out the prophecy section. 鸟无足, a bird without feet. 山有月, a mountain with the moon. Now, people think if you take out the bottom dots on the character for bird, which might be the feet that are referred to, and then you add the character for mountain underneath, which is what the bird is sitting on in the picture, all right? So people think that's a clue. The bird in the picture is sitting on a mountain, so if you add mountain to the bottom of bird, it makes the character Dao, which means island, and Japan is an island nation. Then mountain with the moon, well, Japan is mountainous, and perhaps the moon was used instead of sun here. The next part, 戌出生, which means the sun rises at dawn, and then we have 人都哭, everyone cries. So Japan is often called the land of the rising sun, and so when the sun rises, everyone cries could be talking about Japan invading China. Interestingly, in the Tang dynasty, they would not have known about the whole rising sun thing, okay? There was no flag with a big red sun. Japan's identity would have been totally different. So they wrote it in a way that no one would understand until the Republican period, and this association with the sun had been adopted for Japan. The first line of the poem reads, 12月中气不和. This could mean in the 12th month, the atmosphere is not harmonious. But 12月中, okay, 中 means middle. This could imply the middle of the 12-month cycle. So right in the middle of the year. Well, the Sino-Japanese War is commonly thought to have begun on July 7th, 1937 with the Marco Polo Bridge incident, a 3-day battle between the Republic of China and the Japanese. Early July is right bang in the middle of the year, right in the middle of that 12-month cycle. The line about one morning hearing the golden chicken call is believed to be referring to the US dropping the atomic bomb on Japan. That happened in 1945, and 1945 was the year of the rooster, all right, the year of the chicken. And then the next phrase, 日已过, the sun has already passed, could mean Japan's time is over. Number 40 predicts the Republicans fleeing to Taiwan and the communist takeover of China. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those numbers added together equal 10. The Republic of China was founded on October 10th. That's 1010. 无土有主. Without land, but you have a ruler or a government, i.e. the Republican government still exists on Taiwan, but they've lost most of their land. 小小天罡, the small Big Dipper. This probably refers to Chiang Kai-shek himself, the leader of the nationalists. The once Big Dipper is now small. But anyway, that's the section that speaks about the Communist Party taking over China and the nationalists fleeing to Taiwan. Now let's look at a prediction that actually lines up with one of Nostradamus' predictions. So Nostradamus predicted this. In the year 1999, 7th month, from the sky will come a great king of terror. And in Tui Bei, we also have a reference to something terrible happening in 1999. The third line of the poem reads, 99年成大错. In the 99th year, a big mistake is made. Now, if we assume that they are talking about the same incident, and we use Nostradamus' 7th month of 1999 as the date, what happened in China in July, the 7th month of 1999? It's very obvious. The Chinese regime launched a massive crackdown on the spiritual practice of Falun Gong. Tens of thousands of people rounded up, put in forced labor camps, and to this day, thousands have been tortured to death. It is the most significant political persecution to have happened in China since Mao died in the 70s. It was the biggest thing that happened in China that year, and it happened in the 7th month, so the most obvious thing that this section could point to. You can certainly imagine it caused a kind of terror for the Chinese people, like Nostradamus says, all right? Or at least the Chinese people who practiced Falun Gong, which by the Communist Party's own estimates were around 70 million. Then you can also imagine it being viewed as a grave mistake, like what is said in Tui Bei, since it had led to massive human rights abuses and it's been condemned by countries and human rights organizations across the world. But that was done by the previous Chinese leader Jiang Zemin, so why is Xi Jinping so afraid of the Tui Bei prophecy? Well, he's not managed to stop the persecution of Falun Gong in China. It still goes on to this day. But the real thing that Xi Jinping is probably concerned about is prophecy number 46. Now, some people may say that they think that this prophecy has already been fulfilled. But that's not necessarily the case, since a lot of these are vague and you could read different meanings into them. Here is the prophecy part of section 46. In a dark haze, killing without a knife, the masses don't die, but one person can't escape. So people think this sounds like an assassination of one person through some clever means, all right? Killing without a knife. Could it be biological warfare maybe? And here is the poem. 有一军人身带弓，只言我是白头翁. There is one military man. On his person, he carries a bow, and he just says that I am a white-haired old man. Now, people have taken this to mean that this military man's name has the character for bow in it, like the surname Zhang, which has the character for bow or gong on the left-hand side. The problem for Xi Jinping is that he is surrounded by a load of people called Zhang. It's the third most popular surname in China. Now, he recently purged his top general, Zhang Youxia, and there were previous purges in the rocket force. How do you say rocket in Chinese? 火箭, all right? Fire arrow. What shoots an arrow? A bow. So it seems that Xi Jinping doesn't know where to look. You can read the character for bow into many things, right? Bows shoot arrows, and rockets also contain the character for arrows, so anything to do with rockets or missiles. Then there are also the surname Zhang. There are 88 million people with the surname Zhang in China. Then the next section about white-haired old man could be hinting at a different character. So Bai, right? Like your hair is on top. Let's put Bai on top of a character. And then if we take out the character Weng, which means an old man, and instead we use the character Wang, which sounds similar to it and means king, you get the character Huang, which means emperor. Or in modern times, you could mean that to refer to the leader of the country, Xi Jinping. And there's more. If you take Bai or white and put it on the bottom, and then you get Yu or feathers from the Weng character and you put it on top, it makes the character Xi in Xi Jinping's last name. But you could also take Bai Tou Weng to mean Bai Tou Ying, all right, a bald eagle. Okay, Wang means king, so someone significant. Bald eagle, it's kind of like the king of birds, right? Bald eagle represents America. One of the accusations against Zhang Youxia is that he gave nuclear secrets to the US, i.e. he is working with the US. So maybe that section doesn't refer to Xi Jinping, but to a military man with the character for bow in his name, and he says, I'm working with America. Man, if you were Xi Jinping and you believed this stuff, it would make your head spin trying to figure out what it meant and who's the guy with the bow that you should watch out for. But does he actually believe it, or are people just reading the tea leaves? Well, the WikiLeaks cables that were released over a decade ago contained a diplomatic cable that said the following. Xi, at one point early in his career, was quite taken with Buddhist mysticism, displaying a fascination with Buddhist martial arts and mystical powers said to aid health. So he apparently does believe in mysticism to some extent. And according to other sources, in addition to Tui Bei, Xi is troubled by another prophecy book called the Iron Plate Diagram, or 铁板图. This book's final image shows 5 birds flying across a gap between 2 mountains. The first 4 make it across, but the 5th bird crashes into a mountain and falls out of the sky. The inscription reads, 白羽毛鸟撞在山这边. The white feathered bird dies by bumping into the mountain on this side. Now, China has had 5 Communist Party leaders since the founding of the People's Republic. Okay, there was actually one more, but he was ousted very quickly. He only served like 1 or 2 years. So people think these 5 birds represent the 5 major leaders that have ruled since the founding of the PRC: Mao Zedong, Deng Xiaoping, Jiang Zemin, Hu Jintao, and lastly, Xi Jinping. So that makes Xi Jinping the white-feathered bird, and if you look at the character for Xi in Xi Jinping's name, it is made up of Yu, feathers, and Bai, white, on the bottom, adding to the speculation that this is predicting Xi Jinping's demise. And this is why prophecy books like the Iron Plate and especially Tui Bei or the back-pushing diagram have been so scary for Chinese leaders over the ages. The one very interesting thing about Tui Bei though, is that section 59, the last section that is considered to be a prophecy, is very hopeful. A city without walls, without government, without a distinction between you and me. All under heaven is one family, a big change in governance. One person brings good fortune to the world. In his hand he holds a bamboo stick, getting rid of the bamboo shoots. It sounds like it's describing a world in which governments are gone, maybe destroyed by some natural disaster, and a holy person is coming to give judgment, removing the weeds or those little shoots that aren't supposed to be there. Then it goes on. Red, yellow, black, white. There is no distinction. I think this is referring to human races, although to say that there is a red race isn't common, but the other three are the three main races on Earth, and I don't know, the American Indians have been called red in the past, Native Americans, so perhaps it refers to them. And then east, south, west, north, all harmonious. So this section really sounds like a savior type figure is bringing hope to the world through weeding out the bad and enacting massive changes in society. Now, depending on what religion you believe in, you may have your own idea as to who this is about. I'm not going to make any guess. I'll just leave it for you to think about and come to your own conclusion based on your own belief. All right, guys, that is the video for today. And if you like that little hopeful note we ended on in this otherwise quite dark video, and you want something else hopeful, check out Shenyun Performing Arts, the best Chinese classical dance company in the world. They are currently in the middle of their 2026 world tour, with 8 performance companies performing at the same time across the world, and one of these companies may be coming to a city near you. They have performances in New York City coming up later this month, as well as in many other cities across the world. Click the link below to watch the trailer, and if you do go on to buy a ticket, use code LCN2026 for a waived booking fee on all US and Canadian show dates. If you want to know more about Shenyun, you can also watch my video where I tour their headquarters, which is on screen now. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you're new. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.